Say yes to new beginnings.
Yes.
Say yes to new standards of excellence.
Yes.
Say yes to engaging reportage with a difference.
Yes.
Introducing Yes International Magazine. The time to say yes to your dreams and aspirations is here.
Good evening and welcome to another edition of our Instagram live session. My guest tonight is Dr. Reuben Abati. Dr. Reuben Abati is a renowned newspaper columnist, essayist, lawyer, politician, the highly sought after journalist and television anchors from Ogun State. Happily married and blessed with children. He was born on November 7, 1965, and that makes him 55 years old. Dr. Abati graduated with first class in theater arts from the University of Calabar in 1985. He bagged his PhD also in theater arts in 1990 from the University of Ibadan. A 2019 deputy governorship candidate in Ogun State. A special advisor on media and publicity to former President Goodluck Jonathan. A former editorial board chairman of the Guardian newspapers. Dr. Reuben Abati will be enlightening us tonight on what it takes to write an irresistible column and more. Now, my first question is, what got you interested in writing?
Well, I mean, as a young person in secondary school, I was a literature student. And, once you study literature in secondary school, you get naturally attracted to writing. After reading all those authors, you also want to write. So, and I think also the main thing was that, well, in those days, as young people, the reading culture in Nigeria was still very good in Nigeria at that time. And, my generation read a lot of novels. This was in the days of James Hadley-Chase novels, Lomstad Grandpa, the whole of that, detective novels, comics were very cheap then. You could read the comic magazines, and somehow naturally, when you read a lot of literature and you have materials around you, as secondary school students, we could read Newsweek, we could read Time magazine, The Economist, because those things were readily available. I mean, growing up, there were libraries. You will be surprised. In this country, there were community libraries, there were local government libraries, there was the Newspaper Readers Association. Every morning, as a young person, you could go to a newspaper stand and just stay there and read newspapers, and go into that free readers association at the newspaper stand. You discuss Nigeria, people would discuss sports. There was interest in ideas, in knowledge. And of course, naturally, after reading so many books, you also want to try your hands at it. But in any case, of course, you know that my original discipline was in the humanities. So I went into humanities, and of course, from 100 level to PhD level, I got a heavy dose of, training in literature, in criticism, in theory, in philosophy, and that way I just took an interest in writing, and I've been doing it almost every day for as long as I can remember.
What an interesting story. Now, what was the title of the first story ever that you wrote?
I doubt if I can remember my first story, but I know that as an undergraduate, we had this magazine called Akata, and I used to write, essays for that magazine. And then, of course, as an undergraduate, I started writing, letters to the editor, opinion articles in the Chronicle in those days in Calabar. That was the closest newspaper, the dominant newspaper in Calabar at that time, the old Cross River State. And then when I went to Uniben, I continued writing. I was a graduate assistant NYSC. So there was the Observer in Benin at that time. So as a youth copper, I wrote a lot of pieces for the Observer. Later the Tide. Later there was one newspaper in Kaduna called the Democrat. And then, of course, from there, I never looked back. Since then, I've been writing. At the time, I was a book reviewer every week for Sketch newspaper. From Sketch, I also became a reviewer for Nigerian Tribune. And then, of course, I started writing opinion for the Guardian newspaper. And at that time, my articles were published on the average, maybe about 3 times in a month. I contributed opinion. I wrote on I wrote essays, extended essays for the Guardian literary series, which was very popular at the time. And then, of course, along the line, I then started writing romance stories for Hint magazine. I was contributing editor with Hint magazine, also Channels magazine, and later on Heart magazine. And I had great fun writing romance stories. Of course, all of that in addition to other forms of writing, more serious essays, academic writing, and all of that.
Wow. Well, now, to write well, what must one do?
Well, to write well, first you must have the discipline to sit down. I tell people that, anybody who wants to write must enjoy his or her own company, because it's a work that requires a lot of solitude. You must be able to sit down, and be on your own, enjoy your own company, so that you can have your me alone time when you can think and reflect and put ideas on paper. Second is that, well, anybody who wants to write should also be very well read, very well informed. Because I always tell people, I say, every time you put pen to paper or you try to write something in front of your laptop, you are taking an examination, a public examination. Because whatever topic you are writing on, there are thousands of people out there who are far more knowledgeable than you are in that particular subject, and who can also, write. So you have to put in the effort. It's a lot of hard work, and you have to have respect. You have to respect the person for whom you are writing, to understand that, yes, even if, there is someone out there who is more knowledgeable in that subject, but at least they will see that you've made the effort to present your arguments and to do so in a very well-informed manner. Never take your reader for granted. And then, of course, more importantly, after you finish one piece, it's gone. The next one, there's no such thing as an easy essay, but if you edit, the more you edit, the more the copy improves. And then, of course, I always tell people, give your copy to someone to read till tomorrow. I mean, I won't tell myself, oh, this thing is perfect. When I was at the Guardian, it could be my PA that I would give it to. It could be the secretary. It could be somebody around. Just help me look at it. The person may spot something that you may not have seen. And in fact, sometimes from the person's reaction, you can have better ideas about how, to present the material. So I don't think there's any copy I've ever written that I did not seek maybe a second opinion or a third opinion. And that person doesn't have to be, a PhD or just anybody at all. It's a way of testing the material and trying to see whether there are certain angles that you have not looked at. Above all, every writer must be humble. humility. It counts. It's important.
Wow.
Because nobody knows it all.
Interesting. Now, Doc, to have a taste of success as a writer, what must one do? To have a taste of success in writing, what must a writer do?
Well, I don't know how to define success, as a writer, because if you look at it, even the writers that you will say are successful. Let me give you the example of a man like Professor Wole Soyinka. Definitely, that's one clear example. So, this is a writer who is world-renowned, who is, there forever, But at the same time, you see that at 86, Professor Wole Soyinka is still working hard at it. He's still writing. If he's not writing an essay, he's working on a book or he's doing a poem at 86. And I tell people, I say, well, perhaps my generation is not doing enough. Perhaps we're too lazy, and we need to do a lot more. Look at also Professor J.P. Clark. In his 80s, he was still writing, he was still publishing. Take the Newswatch Quartet in journalism. Mr. Rieku is still writing to tomorrow. Mr. Danagbese is still writing to tomorrow. Mr. Yakubu Mohammed is still writing to tomorrow. So it's an art. So it's that kind of art in which we just have to keep foraging for faith, because you never know when that beautiful essay will come, or you will write something that will make an impact. So I think it's the hard work, it's the dedication. And who was that? Was it Bernard Shaw who said, no writer who is serious-minded should write to win prizes, because when you win prizes, I hear people say, oh, prize-winning author and all of that. Well, the prizes don't matter. What matters more, is the effort and the fact that you enjoy doing it. I think I get a lot of fun, writing. When I finish it, I read it again and again and again, and I say, okay, we'll try it again tomorrow. So it's a daily grind.
Wow. Now, what is the commonest mistake that most writers make?
Well, I think maybe complacency, procrastination, because as I said, it's a very lonely enterprise, and it's not really that easy to just sit down and be stringing sentences together. But it helps when there are deadlines. I can be lazy too sometimes, oftentimes, if I don't have deadlines. But I think in journalism, we have that pressure of the deadline, because you know that you have a page to fill, you have a column to write, and your readers are expecting that space to be filled. The editor is expecting you to submit your copy. So that sort of compels you. But I guess many people, if there is no deadline, they probably will be playing around, they'll be procrastinating, and then they explain it away as a writer's block. And I tell people, most journalists do not have the luxury of writer's block. We just have to sit down and put pen to paper.
All right. What are the necessary ingredients needed to write a good story?
Well, you must have something to say to start with. You must have an idea. You must have a plot in your head. And second, well, it must be delivered in very good language, because the people you are writing for, they don't expect all kinds of infelicity. So you have to pay close attention. Sometimes, if there is a spelling error in an essay or, in any piece of writing, you will be surprised how people will call and say, oh, you had spelling error there. Oh, didn't somebody help you look at it? That's what I mean about, paying close attention, not just to the beauty of the language, but also to make sure that the copy is clean and is delivered, in an informed manner. Because, opinion is cheap. We all have opinions. If you go to the newspaper stand, everybody there is a commentator, But I tell people, sometimes when people are trying to engage me, I say, look, this opinion formulation, discussion of national and international issues, that's my work. That's what I do on a daily basis. So I don't quite have too much time for, beer parlor gossip or just chatting all over the place. I'd rather take my pen and put it down. So it's all about discipline, I think. Majority.
All right. Now, what excites you most, about being a writer?
Well, the opportunity to engage people and the access that I have to various platforms. I find that very exciting. And of course, like every human being, when you write a piece and, it resonates with your readers, you are excited about it. But I read other people too, and I enjoy them. And for me, it's a continuous learning process. The fact that I can take on any topic, do my research, sit down and think, and then package it together. And when I'm not in front of the laptop, I'm probably talking on radio or talking on television. So it's the opportunity that I find exciting to engage with people and to discuss a broad range of issues and to continue to learn virtually on a daily basis.
Wow. So what do you dislike about being a writer?
What do I dislike about being a writer? That's my life. I can't say. I can't complain. If a man is a carpenter, he does his carpentry. He likes it. A medical doctor will not be reluctant to go to the hospital. A lawyer will not be afraid to go to a courtroom to present his case. So this is our own line of business. Just to write and talk. So it's not something I dislike. I just cited the example of Professor Wole Soyinka, Professor J.P. Clark, Mr. Gbeste, Mr. Yusuf Muhammad. These are people who are in their 80s, in their 70s. They are still writing, and it's a thing of joy to read them all the time. And I just say, well, I have not even started. If an 86-year-old man is still working so hard, then I just must apply myself a little bit more.
All right. Now, what is the greatest thing that being a writer has done for you?
Well. I don't know what to use. Should I say fame or should I say notoriety? You get to rub minds with a lot of people. Some people will read what you have written. They will do rejoinders. In those days when this was a different country, on the pages of Guardian in those days as young boys, sometimes we could have a debate. Somebody will write an article and it could attract about 15 rejoinders. And we all knew ourselves in those days, young men wanted to contribute to public debate. But that culture of debate, I don't get to see it a lot more these days. Maybe perhaps because of Twitter and Instagram, all this 140-word intellectualism that people do on Twitter. So, and that's very easy, to just go on Twitter and abuse people rather than to sit down and do very constructive analysis. I hope that a day will come again in this country when there will be greater emphasis on ideas rather than, this, convenience that the electronic media offers, the social media rather offers. So, and everybody is a superstar. You don't have to write more than 140 words. You have reached the whole world. The writing, an essay requires a lot more.
Wow. What would you have wanted writing to do for you that it hasn't done?
Well, I haven't been able to put a fence around my writings. I have many friends who are on my neck. Audio Vemu the other day, even brought out 4 titles of books that I should have pushed out that I have not done. And every time he accuses me of being too lazy and I should sit down and do serious work. So, well, someday, very soon, I would like to put many of these materials together in a more permanent form. But only last week, one gentleman was calling me and saying, he said he was in Rwanda. And that some people were asking that they were looking for my materials. And that he also went to another country. They were saying, why is Reuben Abati's writing scattered all over the place? So that's something I would like to do, put a fence around these materials properly. Another person who has been on my case is Professor Hope Gaga of the University of Lagos. But, okay, we'll get around to it. There's time, I hope.
All right. Now, Doc, I would like to find out from you, what makes a good columnist?
Well, I mean, to write a column, first you need language. You know, two, you must have an opinion. Three, there must be some kind of originality, authenticity to what you are saying. And then, of course, you must have the courage to say what you want to say. And if you look at, I've written all kinds of columns. I tell people sometimes that when we were in Hints magazine, we were doing romance journalism. I used to write, many people did not know, a column on a brothel, and I didn't want anybody to know that I was the one, but you see, every week I would just deliver the column, and I used to have fun, writing it. But what do I say? Well, language, creativity, and if you look at what I do, I vary my style. Sometimes I use dialogue, and I still try to get the message across. Sometimes I do narratives. I used to do narratives a lot. In those days, in those early days, when I used to jump Molue from Alakuko to Isolo, I used to see a lot inside the Molue, or trying to, catch the Molue. The Molue, you can't just jump into it. It has its own method. And even when you want to disembark from the Molue, you must know how you do it. So in those days, when we were acquiring those street skills, I used to write a lot of pieces on the Molue, until I bought my first car. And after riding the car for a few weeks, the next time I went into the Molue, I couldn't fit in anymore. And that was the last. But I did a lot, of creative pieces, just writing about the Molue. And then, of course, the political commentaries, the essays, and then, book reviews. I've done a lot of that, so yes, just having fun. I enjoy myself. I think that's what is important. When work is fun, when work is like playing. If you get rewarded for it in the process, well, fine, very good. That's added value.
Of all the columns that you have written, which is the most memorable?
I can't say this is the most memorable. I've written some, very interesting pieces. But I noticed that, when I apply humor, because I used to adopt that technique also, when you deliver a serious message in a very humorous manner, I'm always, excited when the humor goes across and the reader is able to get it, and they will call us, oh, I was laughing throughout that article. But in any case, once they get the message, it's fine, but then the more serious essays, well, those ones could be a bit dense, but I prefer it when, I'm able to communicate easily.
All right. Who are the other columnists that you also read?
A long list. I read virtually everybody, because in this our job, you also have to read others to know what they are saying, to know what is going on. On a daily basis, I go through all the opinion pieces that I can lay my hands on. I read the Guardian op-ed pages. I was in charge of those pages for years, for decades. I don't miss back page of this day. And I also have columnists in Tribune that I read in virtually every paper, in Leadership, in The Sun, because it's a community. We all know each other. Okay, so they read you, you read them. You have fun. You call each other and say, oh, I read that your piece. Look, I just finished reading you. Oh, Shagwadini, I just read your piece. Yeah, Bob G, I've read your piece today. So it's like it's a community thing. Apart from the fact that you get a chance to learn from other people, and to also, learn from the style that they adopt. So that's, I read everybody. I read everyone.
So, of all these people you have mentioned, who is your favorite? Of all the people. Yes,
that's difficult to say, because each person brings to the table, a different kind of style, a different kind of flavor, and ideas. It's difficult to say this is my favorite, because there are so many. I read all of them. I read everybody,
Oh,
and I'm sure they read me too. Just to say, oh, what is he up to? What is Monumental up to this week? The same way I read them too, and I call them, send them text messages. You know, and we laugh, we have fun. You know, it's,
all right. So, what would you say stands Dr. Reuben Abati out as a columnist?
that's not for me to say. Oh, I don't want to appear like I'm praising myself. But I've been in this business for quite a while. You know, I've been doing this thing for how many years now? You know, no, I can't describe myself. I can't say that. But you can be sure. You know, every week you know you can be sure I keep at it. You know. Once I finish one column, I've moved on. The next one is the next one. I can't say. That's for people to judge.
All right. How often do you read new books, and what book are you currently reading at the moment?
I'm always reading books. As I'm sitting here, there is a book here in front of me, which I just finished the other weekend or so. Larger Than a Spring, Volume 2, Further Critical Studies and Reflections on Olu Obafemi, edited by Professor Durone and Professor Sunday Enesi Ododo. You know, so I read all kinds of books, but this one is is in dramaturgy. You know, so depends on what comes to my table. And then, of course, people ask me to review books, so I get a regular supply of new books, and I read virtually on the weekly basis.
All right. Now, as a voracious reader, which of the books that you have read has left the most indelible mark? Just one. One book that you have read that has left the most indelible mark.
You see, when we were in school, there was a book we were reading for theory, and that's dramatic literature, theory and criticism. That was the title of the book at that time, and there was a lot of philosophy in it, from the Greeks to Grotowski, and the book was like a Bible for us. You know, many of us who did dramatic literature, dramatic theory and criticism, and for many years, when you know you want to read philosophy and all of that, you know, the book comes handy. And anybody who ever studied, drama will tell you, you know, how philosophical that book is. And I find it as a book that I keep going back to again and again, because it's the whole range of, knowledge within the humanities. And of course, you know, from aesthetics to forms to, you know, literature, everything. So, but there will be many of such books anyway.
All right.